So hello everybody for this second day of the Fresnel seminar here in Le Verdon on the Fresnel lens and various technical innovations. I would like to thank all the speakers who described such interesting things here. We hope it will be the same thing today. Obviously it will be. And I would like to present the Phares de France Lighthouses of France Association to you. You've heard it mentioned several times. I'm Jean-Marie Choubet of the association, and I am going to be the moderator for the first session of this morning. So Phares de France Lighthouses of France, why did we create this non-profit association? You have a banner here which was in the entrance yesterday. You may not have read it, so I put it up here on the stage. I'm going to explain what Phares de France is. It's a network for discussion, exchanging ideas, experience on and around lighthouses, their equipment, the buildings, and obviously vessels, maritime heritage, as mentioned by Henri Masson yesterday. So everything related to our maritime heritage. The members of the association are entities which have contracts to open lighthouses to the public. In fact, it's an association of managers of lighthouses with local authorities. Its members are private entities, local authorities or other associations which open lighthouses to the public. Each year, Phares de France, if you could put up the slide showing the lighthouse. So each year, Phares de France organizes what we call Lighthouse Days. For us, this was last week. So it's been a busy period. We have Lighthouse Day last week and then the seminar here. This is at Le Gros du Roi. And obviously these are pleasant events, but we also work very hard together to discuss the future of lighthouses, what we can do with this heritage, which today is gradually changing status, becoming heritage rather than functional buildings. So the first of these days was organized in 2010, and there was a break in 2015, and we created the association in 2018 to organize these lighthouse days, which really are an opportunity to exchange ideas. And this is the moment when all the managers, from the smallest to the largest, can get together and compare their views and their experience and move forward together to defend the cause of lighthouses. And in France, we always do things a bit differently to other people. So our association has volunteers who organize the Lighthouse Days, but also with support from the state. So there is the Directorate General for Maritime Affairs, which works with us, and all the different people involved which provide financing for our association. And to organize these days where we can discuss the future of lighthouses. Each of the lighthouses which have been opened to the public have their experience, and that experience isn't the same from one place to another, from the North Atlantic to the Mediterranean, depending on where they are located. And in 2023, the Secretariat of State for the Sea decided to celebrate the bicentennial of the experiment with the Fresnel lens at the Cordouan Lighthouse, a very technical subject and a very interesting one. And so Phares de France was given the task of celebrating this 200th anniversary. It's not easy because for a non-profit association which began with two volunteers, Jean-Marie Cabet and myself, working with Solange, who you saw yesterday, we started to think about how we could do this, and the idea was to involve all the lighthouses in this 200th anniversary celebration through exhibitions, through publications, through events. Also, webinars. So at the beginning, we tried to organize all sorts of different things which have taken place over this year to be able to explain what the Fresnel lens is and how it is still topical, and that's what's important here. Fresnel didn't live very long, but his incredible invention merits due celebration, and we're not alone in doing this, as we see people here from other countries who are also interested in Fresnel. So I would like to thank all the volunteers from Phares de France and their spouses as well, who put up with them dedicating themselves to their passion, their hobby, their lighthouses, and that is what has shaped Phares de France. I would also like to give a special mention to the person who brought us all here, Jacques Manchard, who has worked so hard for so long on this event because he really wanted this seminar to be shared with all of those around the world who are interested in Fresnel and in his invention. And at the same time, I would like to thank you for being present here and for coming here to share your ideas, your know-how, your experience and knowledge with us. And also thank all of those who have taken part in the Lighthouse Days, like Alexandre, who is here. Last year we were in Eckmühl at La Coupe. Next year we will be at Carteret to promote this invention of Fresnel, and here at the Pointe du Grave, where Fresnel came in 1823 to install his lens. We don't know what his state of mind was at the time, but here we're sharing in what he did for lighthouses around the world. Thank you very much.
Merci. Je vais laisser la parole.
Thank you. I'm going to hand over to Jacques Manchard, who's going to give the safety guidelines now. And I would also like him to tell us why he chose the theme for these 2 days of this seminar. So I'll hand over to Jacques. Thank you very much, Jean-Marie. So the theme of safety, and so we have an emergency exit, which you can all see to the right. That's where we go, and we'll find a muster point. Thank you once again to the municipality of the Verdon-sur-Mer, who made this meeting possible by offering us the possibility of using these premises and also the room where you are invited for lunch once again today. Just a short march away to help you digest on your way back after lunch. Like yesterday, I will ask you to leave your headset here. And this evening, of course, not to head off with the headset and to leave them here so that we can collect them. There will be a short break at the end of session number 2 this morning. And we are awaiting news from the captain of the La Bohème launch to see whether tomorrow's excursion is possible, because the weather conditions are set to get a little worse. So depending on the swell, we'll have to see whether the captain of the launch decides we can go to the lighthouse or not. I hope that will be possible on Wednesday morning. I know a lot of people enjoyed yesterday's visit to the Cordouan Lighthouse, and for those of you who aren't familiar with the lighthouse, I do hope that you can make that visit tomorrow. So, and coming back to what Jean-Marie was saying, it's true that I found myself working on this seminar on the first preparatory meetings. I had much enjoyed the conference organized on the 4th of July last year, with the first events at the Arc de Triomphe, where Fresnel did his first tests in France, with a range of 30 kilometers, almost 30 kilometers. We then needed to divide out the work, and I accepted to take on the task of organizing the seminar. I would like to thank the IALA and Omar. I think the first meeting we had was March last year with Francis, the Secretary General, and obviously it would have been impossible to organize such an event without the IALA, and we received immediate and clear support from them, and that has also made, it was also further to this, that Jean-Marie Calbet and myself were invited to speak at the Heritage Seminar, which was organized in particular thanks to Alberto in Rio de Janeiro to open the IALA conference at the end of May this year. So we have all tried to do our best. I don't know if you have used ChatGPT before, but I thought that I tried to imagine what people might be interested for a seminar. So I tried some messages via to question ChatGPT, but in today's program, the last presentation is on artistic questions of the arts, and I've discovered things I didn't know at all about the use of the Fresnel's concept in art, in modern art installations, and so on. The Tate Gallery had the most visited installation at the Tate Gallery was created on Fresnel lenses, so that was very interesting to discover. I would also like to thank the speakers who I contacted. People, I didn't know that in 2015 it was the Year of Light, and that there had already been events organized in museums on the theme of Fresnel, and so it really has been a very interesting adventure for me, and we wouldn't be here if you hadn't responded positively, and I would like to therefore thank all of you, the speakers, yesterday's speakers, today's speakers, and I did ask I have asked what the next step is for 2024, and the budget provided by the Secretariat, the State Secretariat, should enable us to do things next year, which could be very useful for lighthouses which organize visits. But after these 2 days, the question I have is whether you have things you would like to do. Are there things that you think we need to take further that we could do together? I'm even wondering whether we might not have a format with perhaps workshops, so that you could play a more active part in the proceedings rather than sitting here listening to the presentations, and you might be interested in debating a bit more here. We tried to have a program that would leave you some time for the visits. I think the group has formed well. So that's something to think about for the future. And I propose to the other members of the community, not of the ring, but of the lens, that has formed here. I think now that we have created this momentum, we need to see where we can go next, and I'll hand back over to the session moderator now. Thank you very much to all of you. So Jean-Marie has arrived with a shirt that fortunately we hadn't seen yet, and I'm now therefore going to call upon Françoise de Rouffignac, President of the SMIDEST, which is the semi-public organization for the sustainable development of the Gironde estuary. So over to you. Hello, everybody. So I think the idea is that we shouldn't speak too quickly so that they have time for the translation. So, President of the SMIDEST, the semi-public company for the sustainable development of the estuary, the Gironde estuary. We are located here on the estuary lying between two counties, two departments, the Gironde on this side and Charente-Maritime on the other side. The organization was created by the president of the two departments at the time, Mr. Madrel and Mr. Boulot, who thought it was important to be able to manage the estuary in a consistent manner from both sides, even though obviously that process involves lots of different local authorities. So just a quick introduction. Françoise de Rouffignac, I became president of the SMIDEST just a few days ago. The presidency alternates between Charente-Maritime and Gironde, so with my colleague Pascal Gau. So the SMIDEST brings together different local authorities located on and around the estuary, and also the Nouvelle-Aquitaine region. And this enables us to get some grants to do any work that might be necessary to restore Cordouan, for example. So I would like to thank Jean-Marie Calbet for the invitation to come here, and he asked me to provide you with some information about how we set about getting the Cordouan Lighthouse listed on the UNESCO World Heritage List. I'd like to thank Solange, who is here. When I arrived at the SMIDEST as a local elected official in a municipality of the Charente-Maritime, I discovered a lot about the sea, about the estuary, about lighthouses, beacons, navigational aid systems. I am an agricultural engineer by training, so the sea wasn't really my specialization. I really can't say I'm specialized in it now, but I live near Talmont-sur-Gironde on the estuary, and so I feel very strongly about the estuary of the Gironde. So a big thank you to Solange, because with people like you who have a passion for your subject, you can give us a very interesting introduction to your passion, and in this case to the Cordouan Lighthouse, which is marvelous. The people of Gironde and Charente-Maritime are in constant warfare, each wanting to claim the lighthouse as their own, but we're all proud of it. For those who have been lucky enough to go to see it on yesterday, both in fact, It really is, you're lucky, and I hope that those who haven't been yet will get the chance to go there tomorrow. So before I speak, I was going to show you 4 short videos which will present the themes we focused on. The 4 main arguments in favor of Cordouan for those who aren't familiar with us. Cordouan is between land and sea on its rock. It has seen the centuries pass, and those who look after it protect its authentic character. The lighthouse has always lit the entrance to the estuary. It was built in several phases, which are still visible today. It owes its authentic character to the women and men who have worked over the centuries to maintain it, to repair it, to modernize it, technically, for the lighting system, and also the people who live in it, and the people around Cordouan must adapt to Cordouan, to its history, and it's in this way that we can continue to uphold its character and pass that on to future generations. Cordouan has always been ahead of its time. It's an architectural masterpiece, the first to be listed as a historic monument, and also a place of great technical innovation. It's the lighthouse of innovation, and for 400 years it has always been at the cutting edge in terms of architecture, in terms with its artistic dimension, its spiritual dimension, and it is a place where many engineers have given free rein to their imagination, notably Augustin Fresnel, who came here to test his lens, which revolutionized all the lighthouses around the world, in that it concentrates light and can extend range up to 22 nautical miles and even more at certain times in certain conditions, and that is essential for mariners crossing the Atlantic. Often we imagine Cordouan as being isolated, lost among the waves, but for over 400 years, Cordouan has been a link between people, land and sea, and we want to pass on that heritage. At the school in Le Verdon, we share information about the lighthouse, so the children know as much as possible about their lighthouse, to appreciate it and to protect it. So we made a plastic lighthouse with waste that we picked up. We made a model. I want to go and visit it because to see the plants that we can't see in other places. I love Cordouan because it's old. It's in the middle of the sea, and it's magnificent. It helps ships to find their way into the estuary. People call it the Versailles of the sea, and I think that's true. It has beautiful sculptures. I hope it will be recognized the world over. On its rocks, Cordouan is adapted to its location. Marine species have colonized the base. This is a natural space in a marine park between the fresh and salt water, between land and sea. So a very important natural space, and the lighthouse needs to be protected and to develop it as harmoniously as possible with the natural spaces around it and all the people who also live or have connections with it. So there you are. As you have just seen, Cordouan unites culture, land, sea, biodiversity, and at the SMIDES we have an authorization to make temporary use of the land through to December 2025. And we have two ministries overseeing our work, the Ministry for the Sea and the Ministry for the Environment. And these two ministries have been obliged to work and have worked with us in synergy, because in order to be able to defend the application for UNESCO World Heritage listing and to identify the exceptional universal value heritage of this, it was a little difficult to know which criterion we could refer to for the World Heritage listing, and in the end we chose two for the as a masterpiece of human genius, and also as embodying the history of lighthouses, notably through the innovation of Fresnel's lens. Everything that you have seen here is part of our work since the UNESCO World Heritage listing, with a local committee to defend our heritage and to pass it on, as was mentioned in the video, to future generations. And this UNESCO World Heritage listing is also a guarantee, a protection, and can make assured that this knowledge and this will be passed on to future generations with its specific criteria, and also to enhance knowledge of the lighthouse and also ownership among younger people. You also have children at the school in Le Verdon who are happy to be able to go and visit the lighthouse, or to say that they are proud of their region, and proud also that it will be known all over the world, and that is important for people that they can be a part of this process, because we believe that this can enhance the protection of the monument itself. And also it's a way, we talked about innovation, to see how we can do better, how we can innovate. And one of the great questions at the moment, which we didn't see in the video here, is for the navigation aid system. There are currently diesel engines in the lighthouse, and we're being asked to find something that could replace those diesel engines. We have tried to think of all sorts of different things: wind power, photovoltaic panels, hydrogen, nuclear. We're not sure what we're going to come up with in the end, but I'm sure we will come up with something. So this lighthouse now for a very long time has been a place of innovation, as they said, from the oil lamp to electricity, and perhaps one day to another form of energy. But there is also the whole architectural dimension as well, which is very important, which for those who are making a first visit is often the thing which surprises them most. The name, the Versailles of the Sea, really is something which comes up time and time again, as was said by the young girl in the video. Now we know why it's called the Versailles of the Sea. It is something which is an architectural masterpiece, recognized internationally as such. And regarding this application for UNESCO listing, I should stress that we all worked together collectively with the whole team of Jean-Marie. I think it was back in 2000 or 2002 approximately, and he will explain that to you later. And that work was conducted at the initiative of volunteers with a passion for lighthouses. It was important because that's what then enables the local elected officials to have a sound basis on which to prepare their application and to do the work with the ministries and with the more specialized people specialized in drafting all the documents specifically to correspond to the criteria of UNESCO World Heritage Listing. And that is not always easy to do when we're not specialists in that. And I mentioned Solange earlier, who really made a powerful contribution to this. And that work lasted several years. The lighthouse was listed in 2021, and over the previous 4 years, there have been lots of trips to Paris and back, discussions with the different national and international groups involved in the process, the visit from the expert for a few days also, who came not only to see Cordouan, but also the other features on both banks of the estuary, whether there were views that were of the lighthouse that were protected, and to define also the scope, the perimeter of the World Heritage Asset. It was a very, very detailed, precise process involving a lot of very knowledgeable people who knew the application inside out, and without them this whole thing would have been much more complicated. A few things have also been done at the SMIDEST, and also with the, sorry, I hadn't mentioned the IALA. I've just had a little note put in front of me, but when I was mentioning Solange, the IALA also is there because during the trips abroad, you defended the application. So this work will also continue now because in the local World Heritage Committee, we work with the regional prefecture and also with the different representatives of the ministries in Paris, and also with the local stakeholders to make sure that there is that local ownership of the listing and also sharing information nationally and abroad. And if you're all here, that is also partly because of all this work that has been done by the IALA, which has made this possible, because each of you in your countries, I imagine at some time you will have heard of the listing of the lighthouse, the UNESCO listing of the lighthouse in 2021. So one thing which is very important, because we consider that children are very good at conveying this sort of information and can perhaps lead the way for their parents. I'm going to show you some teaching materials, a document that we use as an introduction to the Cordouan Lighthouse, with information about the architecture, also about navigation aid systems, and for adults who aren't familiar with these subjects, when you look at this document, it's a way of understanding how Cordouan guides vessels into the estuary, in and out of the estuary, with some explanations, not so much of the Fresnel lens, but of how the lighthouse works and how mariners use the different lighthouses to guide them between the Gironde and Charente-Maritime, because we're lucky that in our two counties or departments we have a lot of lighthouses, as some of you will have seen with the visits you have made in the course of this weekend organized by the association. I won't go any longer because I know you have a lot of things to listen to this morning, but if you wish, Ophélie and Marie-Laure were at the reception earlier and will be here all day, and they can give you any additional information that you might like about the lighthouse, and please don't hesitate to come back whenever you like. We have, that's probably a sign that I should stop. We have, so over the past 3 years, we have a contractor to organize the crossings to Cordouan, and that's one of the things I won't talk about because it's a bit technical, but that is something that perhaps you will see when you make the visit on the La Bohème boat. And it's possible to visit the lighthouse from here, from Le Verdon, and also from Royan on the other bank of the estuary. So thank you very much for your attention.
Merci beaucoup.
Thank you very much for that presentation, which I think is something we can talk about for several hours. Of course, we can talk about the Cordouan Lighthouse, but the best is to visit it. I will call Jean-Philippe Quito, who actually didn't want to speak this morning, but he is going to speak to us. A seminar in Cordouan at Pointe de Verdon is something that is unforgettable, and he is going to say a few words. Thank you very much, and good morning to everyone. I haven't been able to greet in person. Well, when I see today's program and the number of meetings, I have very little to say compared to all the other interesting things you're going to hear, so I'll be extremely brief. What was the candidacy of Cordouan brought together a collective group of people, and that's why we're all here today. For me, Cordouan is fabulous heritage. And the most valuable thing it has is its capacity to bring us all together here today. I remember 2 years ago, Solange said to me, 2023 is the Fresnel lens. That's going to be the 200th anniversary. Well, we've mobilized around Cordouan, but we can't let that go by without doing something important. And everything that's happened over the last year actually started there. That little spark was born here. And it's the group, the collective approach that was built up, that was already here around Cordouan, and that made it all possible. And I'm really so happy to be here today and to see all of you here and to just remember everything that has happened since. Everyone is involved, and that's really something extremely valuable. Remember that a lighthouse is something that is isolated, but in fact it is a network of lighthouses. And today, all of us are a network of men and women, and I think this is absolutely essential. And what I'm saying to you today is let's keep it up. Let's keep this network alive. Fresnel and his lens, it's almost an anomaly, a discrepancy in history. You have someone who was very skilled in his field, and he came and he was interested in lighthouses, and he came up with something exceptional for lighthouses. And I would like us to continue to do that. Take exceptional people, spark their interest in lighthouses for the future of lighthouses in the world. So thank you to Phares de France, Lighthouses of France, who decided to organize this event and this Fresnel year. And they brought it to where we are now, to fruition. And I'd really like to thank the IALA. It's extremely important to us here in France. Their headquarters are here. And it's important because it shows that lighthouses are a human network first and foremost. Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm going to call Solange Majoreau. On the program, you will read that Solange Majoreau is going to talk to us about to give us some keynotes, things that we can think about, and that she spends her time thinking and giving us food for thought, and we're going to try to stick to schedule, and we're eager to hear from you. Well, I'll be very quick, because behind that there are some very interesting things that are going to be said later on in the morning. I think there was an idea. The idea was sometimes there are ideas that strike you as crazy and unreachable. And then you have to have some other crazy people who join that idea and who decide to express it. And that's what happens in our team. I have some crazy ideas sometimes. I'm surrounded by people who are almost as crazy as I am. And together we manage to do things that are interesting. And I think that is what is happening today. Fresnel took 4 years. 4 years to develop his lens and to arrive in Cordouan to experiment with that. Well, it took us 4 years to create the application file for UNESCO and our candidacy for listing of the lighthouse here. Just all of us spent this time together, and we have the time now to develop sources of energy that is smart, that is efficient, and to start working on maybe new projects. In any case, to find innovation, to be extremely inventive, and to always focus on the future, to look to the future. I believe that in life what's really important is you believe that nothing can stop you. You can move mountains. If you say to yourself, it's possible, well, it will become possible. Sometimes it's not exactly the way you imagined it, but in any event, we have to keep moving forward. We have to always believe. And that is how we will succeed in coming up with interesting ideas, creating interesting projects. And what's also very important, you can never do anything alone. We need teams, and if we work together as teams, if we all complete each other, we will succeed in creating things that are totally unlikely and exceptional. Perhaps you would never have come all this way, to the tip of the Medoc, if we hadn't been crazy enough to say, we'll welcome them at a campsite at the tip of the Medoc. And I think that, and I hope you're all happy to be here. And having had discussions with some of you over these days, thank you again. I will now leave the floor to Alain Aspect, who is going to talk to us